Hello and welcome to today's Thursday Business Tip. So today we are actually going to be talking about craft fairs. So around this time of year is when craft fairs start really coming out. And the first thing I want to talk about is how you can find a craft fair. So you can pay to be in these groups that tell you what craft fairs are coming out, but there's a much better way to do it. So there's two ways you can look that are free and easy to do. One is to just go to Google and just search for craft fairs near me using the words near me. And the other thing you can do is go to Facebook and you can actually search for events near you. So you can put in craft fair and put your county and state or your area that you're in, and it will tell you when there are ones that are signed up, because the majority of people who run craft fairs, if they do a good job, if it's a good craft fair to be in, they're going to have an event set up on Facebook. So it's pretty easy to find it that way. And it's great to look at local newspapers and to look at if a news organization has a website that's near you. A lot of times they will have an events page. So you just want to kind of look through those. If you are just getting into them, it might be a good idea to go to a couple before you sign up for one. You want to make sure that you check to see if they require any type of business license, because sometimes they do. So some of the other things that you want to think about when you're going to be doing a craft fair is how many people go to the craft fair, how many things do you need to take. So if you are at a small one, you might be able to get away with 30 to 50 items, but it really is a good rule of thumb to take about 50 items per day. So if you had a craft fair that was 2 days, you might want to have somewhere around 50 to 100 items to take. Doesn't mean you have to have a whole 100 items. You kind of need to determine it based on how many people are going to be coming through. The other thing that you need to take into account is how much it is compared to how many people come through. How good is their advertising? Are they really doing a lot of advertising for it? Or are they really kind of expecting you to advertise? If they're really kind of expecting you to advertise, it's probably not the best craft fair for you to start with. So these are things you want to keep in mind. Then when you're figuring out what you want to take to a craft fair, what you want to think about is that you want to have a good range of prices. So you want to have inexpensive items all the way up to, what I would consider to be your showstopper. So you want a good mix between, items that are kind of smaller priced. And the reason that those are good is because it helps draw people in to your booth and just get them looking around. It can also help you cover the cost of getting your booth. So if you're doing wreaths, a lot of times it's better to have like a 10 by 20 area. If you can't do that, you can use a 10 by 10. But what you can do is go to craft fairs that are near you, walk around, see the way people have them laid out. There's a couple of ways that you can set up your booth. If it's outside, you'll definitely want to have a tent. If it's inside, then you won't really have to worry about that. Generally, they'll have an area that's blocked off. It's great to have an aisle if possible. And it is better if it's an outdoor-indoor to be inside, especially if it's during summer or late winter, because people aren't going to want to spend a lot of time outside if it's too hot or too cold. So you really want to think about those things when you're trying to figure out if you want to do a craft fair. you want to do is you want to have a good area and a good way to display what you're going to be selling. So a lot of times people will use grid walls at craft fairs. You can find grid walls on Facebook Marketplace. You can find them on garage sale sites, Craigslist sometimes. If you can't find good grid walls and they're a little expensive, you can use the white shelving that you get from the hardware stores like you use in a closet. You can set them, right side up, and you can use zip ties to make them into there's two ways you can do it. You can make them into a triangle and tie them together, or you can put one on the end and then put two in the middle and another one on the end. Almost creating like you would with a grid wall. A lot of the grid walls come with little stands, but if you're going to be using the shelving, then you really just kind of have to figure out a way that you can do it and make it stand up. If you know someone who would be able to build you a base at the bottom, that would work. So I've seen them done where people put them in a square. I've seen them done as a triangle, and I've seen them done where they have them back to back with two pieces at the end. So any of those configurations work. The big thing that you want to do is you want to make it as appealing as you can. If you're using shelving like the shelving or the grid wall, then you can put things on both sides, which really gives you a lot more space. If you are in a smaller area, so you can use front and back as long as it's not impeding onto someone else's booth. You can always move it in just a tad so that you can use both sides. You want to set it up so that you have multiple levels. So, getting some crates or any kind of cute little baskets or anything you can set in there and set things on top of. It's a great idea to have visually appealing. So some things down low and then some things a little bit higher and higher. What you don't want to do is you don't want to put a table at the end of your booth and make it difficult for people to walk in and walk around in your booth. You want to have the table towards the back. Don't expect that you're going to be sitting a lot at a craft fair. You really need to be walking around in your booth and talking to people. Talk to them as they come by. A great way to get them interested in your booth and coming in is to take something to work on while you're there. So if you make bows, then bows is a great thing to do. So what you can do is you can make up a whole bunch of bows and don't fluff them out. It makes it much easier to transport, so you can put them in a container and take them. And while you're there, fluff out your bows. It's a really appealing thing for people to see that as they're walking by. They're going to have a tendency to stop and want to see what you're doing. And it can help spark off some conversation. And even if you don't get a sale, you can give them your business card. You can set up QR codes so that people can subscribe to your list or send them to your Facebook page. There's a lot of things that you can do to try to get your name out there. Let them know if you're local, if you're doing a local fair. The other thing you want to make sure you have is price tags. So you can get inexpensive price tags off of Amazon. You can get them from office supply places. You can get them from Walmart. And you want to make sure that you have your prices well marked. It's a great idea if you have things that are similar, that have very similar prices, to make a sheet, laminate it, and have it displayed out. So I know I've seen craft fairs from both sides. I've been both a participant and I have been a person hosting a craft fair. And I know that one thing that we did is that we would have a price sheet and it would have the prices of our different items. And the things that we sold were t-shirts and mugs and things like that. So they were the same price every year. So we had a little poster up, and it had what the item was with a little picture and the price. So you can use things like that to just kind of make it a little bit easier for you so that you're not having to constantly tell people what the prices are. So you either want to have them marked really well, or you want to have a sheet of some kind up so people can quickly figure out what the price is, and you're not having to spend a lot of time doing that because you want to talk to as many people as you can who are coming in. So the configuration that you want is you want to have like a horseshoe. Okay, so you want people to be able to walk in, so you want things lining in this direction, you want them in the back, and then you want them lining coming out. I would have the showstopper, whatever your best product is, I would have it right at the entrance so that it draws people in and they see it and they're interested and they're going to stop. Make sure you talk to people. Don't spend time on your phone, and leave it unattended. You wouldn't want to do that. Make sure that you have various ways of taking funds from people. I would be very careful about accepting checks. You can really have a lot of trouble with that. But you want to make sure that you take cash yourself so that you are able to make change. There's nothing worse than not being able to take a payment because you don't have change. So you want to have probably around $200 that you can give change. You want mostly ones, fives, and tens because you're going to want to be able to make change. You know, price your things so that you're not having to deal with coins if you can. So give them round numbers, dollar instead of $1.50. That makes it a little bit easier. Then you don't have to really deal with change. Make sure you take some type of box to keep your money in that you can lock. You can get those from office supply places. You can get them from Walmart. It's just a good idea to have that and to keep it kind of tucked out of the way so that it's not right up, because if you're talking to someone or dealing with someone, you don't want someone to see your cash box there and to walk off with it. It's a really good idea to take credit cards when you are at craft fairs, and it's a good idea to display somewhere what you do take. So if you're going to take MasterCard and Visa and Discover, then just have, if you signed up for one of these processing, they should send you a little sticker. Just have the little sticker somewhere saying what you accept. There are several places that actually you can sign up in order to do it. PayPal has Pay Here. You can get a swiper, a little swiper that you just attach to the end of your phone. You can get those with PayPal. You can get them with Square. And if you have an Etsy shop, you can link your Etsy shop to Square, and you can take payments of things that are in your Etsy shop. So you'll be getting credit for things that are in your Etsy shop when you're actually in person. Shopify also has one. So if you have your things on Shopify, you can get a card swiper for that as well. It is much better to use one that has a card swiper instead of actually typing in the number. It's going to cost you a little bit more if you are typing in the number. So one good thing about Square is that you are able to process payments if you don't have internet. And the way it works is it stores it, and then when you get to an area where you are able to get to Wi-Fi, then it will go ahead and charge. The only problem with that is you're not going to know if someone's card would have been declined. So you have to be careful about how you set up your payments. Make sure that you have plenty of signal on your phone, and make sure you have data that you can use so that you're able to accept those payments. So that's really important. It makes it so much easier if people are walking past and they see something they would like to come in and be able to pay with a credit card. Now, you will have some processing fees, but they're not going to be considerable. They're somewhere around 2.5% to 3.5%, depending on who you use and what cards you use and things like that. There's a lot of little tricks that you can use at craft fairs, and the best way to learn how you want your booth to look is to walk around at craft fairs and pick out the ones that look the best, and then think about how you can mirror that. A really great idea is to set it up before you go to the craft fair. So you would want to, have an area where you could stage it and see how it looks. That is a really great way to make sure that it's going to look the way that you want it to look. So I hope these tips helped you. There are, of course, a lot more things that you can learn about craft fairs and how they work and where to find them. You can look on Google. You can look on Facebook. There are lots of tips out there. And also remember, if you are a business owner or you want to be a business owner and you're looking for ways to grow your business or to start your business, I do have a group that I run on Facebook and have training that I do on a constant basis. We have a really great community, and I do a lot of things to help those businesses really stand out and help keep their business growing. I share Facebook Lives of all of my members. I also host them on my page so that they can gain access to my audience as well. We have 2 weekly calls, and of course we do a lot of training. So if you're interested in that, make sure that you click the link below. You can always go to my website at hardworkingmom.com and go to Success Path. Success Path is what I call my training group because, of course, it is what I want. I want a path for businesses to achieve success. So thank you so much for watching, and let me know if there is something else that you would like for me to do a tip on. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.